For a more in-depth look at the divide forming in both Texas parties, we're joined tonight by political analyst Harvey Kronberg. Harvey, it's good to have you back in the studio. Let's get started with this interview that Senator Cornyn gave to Semaphore, in which he also mentioned that he won't raise money for Ken Paxton, saying, quote, "The president picked Paxton and he's got $350 million. I think he can spend his money. I'm going to try to help in other places." So Harvey, what's going on here? Is Cornyn hitting back on the president for not endorsing him, or is he just focused on other races?
No, it's obvious that there's bad blood there, that Senator Cornyn was a stand-up guy inside the in the legislative process. He fought the fights. I think he was disgusted, frankly, by both some of the president's antics, and he's clearly disgusted by Ken Paxton. And they've made common cause. Let them carry it. And Cornyn is a prolific fundraiser. He's turning his talents to 5 other races this next couple of weeks to raise money for other senators, responsible senators. So let the president steam in his own juices.
Yeah, that's certainly what he's saying. So let me ask you about this, because Cornyn is also saying he's just using the cards he's got. He cited the example of finally getting the White House to finally move on the $10 billion for border security reimbursement that the Congress had passed already, in exchange for his vote on that $70 billion immigration spending bill. So should we expect to see more of this Cornyn hardball?
Absolutely. He was held hostage, frankly, for the last year. It was everybody knew that Paxton was running, and Paxton's popular in the Republican base. Cornyn was in the trenches pretty much every day and was abandoned by the president. And frankly, he's not alone in the Senate. John Thune had said, "We're not going to contribute any money to the Paxton campaign. This is going to be one of the most expensive races in the country. Let the president put his own juice in here."
Yeah, I think some figures put it at $550 million. That's $500 million. That's a lot of money.
It's going to be good for TV stations.
Let's flip over to the Democrats, because there appears to be some tension there too, Harvey. You just heard it. Take a listen to another quote that Jasmine Crockett said about not going to the Democratic convention and not campaigning with James Tallarico. Listen.
So I'm going to be in session, and I've got other invites that are pending for the freaking weekend. Like, this is really not that complicated. Like, I don't even know why this is an ongoing conversation. And frankly, no one can tell me how and what my support looks like.
Harvey, you've been around politics a long time. Is Crockett looking like a candidate who's backing her former opponent?
No, but that's not really the issue. The issue is whether she aggressively or in some way opposes him. Now, black women are a really important constituency inside the Democratic base, and younger black women in particular are an important constituency. Her lack of activity, her lack of presence may or may not hurt, but it's clear that if she were to engage, she could energize that particular part of the base. And they're going to need every vote they can get, obviously. As damaged as Ken Paxton is, the Republicans still have a pretty strong structural base, or structural advantage.
Because in some ways, she's basically saying the same thing about Tallarico as Cornyn is saying about Paxton. I'm not campaigning with them. I'm not raising money.
I'm not sure exactly the same. Cornyn is much more passive-aggressive towards Paxton. He thinks he's a bum, and he's pretty much all but, well, he said that, over the course of $100 million and 4 months of flaming ads. Yeah. Her being passive in this race is not quite the same as John Cornyn being.
So let me ask you about that, because she did mention in that video that no one had asked Democrat Roland Gutierrez in 2024 to campaign with Colin Allred after he lost. She also pointed out that State Senator Royce West, in 2020 said he wouldn't vote for his primary opponent, MJ Hagar, after he lost. Of course, Allred won that election by 60-17, and every major outlet wrote about West making those comments. But is Crockett getting an unfair deal here? Is she being unfairly treated?
I think that this is probably a unique circumstance, and that this is probably the best setup Democrats have had in this century, other than possibly Beto, and that's a whole other conversation. Right. So comparing to Royce West and MJ Hagar is interesting, but not particularly determinative. Roland Gutierrez, He could have perhaps energized a little bit more of the Latino vote, but at the end of the day, it really didn't make much difference, obviously. It was a double-digit race.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, Harvey, the question is, couldn't she just put all of this to rest by giving a full-throated endorsement of Tallarico, or by saying, hey, I'm busy right now on these down ballot races, but I will campaign with him later on in the campaign? Well,
she enjoys being in the limelight, and as long as she's playing Hamlet, she's in the limelight. And she does have additional or future political aspirations. So being able to be an influencer, being able to potentially move the needle even incrementally, she can't do that once she just locks it down.
Yeah.
Playing Hamlet is actually a pretty good position for her.
All right. That's our Harvey Kronberg with the Shakespeare reference. Thank you so much for joining the program.
My pleasure.
All right.